One. Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome to episode 147 of the KBMOD podcast. Yep, Nick and I are back after we were at EDC last week.
How was it? Tell us about it.
It was interesting. It was good. Overall, it was good. I worked half the event.
It was
and
bright.
Also, it was
It was
bright.
very bright.
It was very bright.
You were
Oh,
doing
it's Las
some
Vegas
lights.
in the middle of the summer.
Las Vegas.
This is
So
the
my
worst.
experience with Las Vegas, I had never stopped. I drove through and I was moving out here, but yeah, that place is real shitty, and I don't like it because as soon as you leave the strip, it's just
so depressing.
really sad. It's just
Yeah.
sad.
Why
Like-
would you leave the strip?
Yeah.
But
well,
I don't.
EDC's at like the
I don't like
Speedway.
gambling.
Yeah, it's at the
Yeah, it's in the
Speedway.
Speedway.
But
Yeah.
again,
But it's like I don't like gambling. I mean, I'll drink a little bit, but I don't want to be surrounded by all the people that are in Vegas because they just annoy me a bit.
you
so
don't like gambling yet.
Yeah. We messed with some slot
I
machines.
spent like
just to-
$25 on slots, and I was
Slot
like, okay.
machines.
Like,
Oh my
yeah.
god, y'all are cute.
I don't want to play games like I don't want to play poker. I don't want to play blackjack. Like I want to just
You
throw
think
my
they would
money
let
at
him at a
something.
poker blackjack table? They'd call like the Megan's Law hotline if they saw him sit down. Let's be
I
real.
don't think
That's
But
true.
Why
They
is
would just
someone
assume
letting
you had a
this
fake
14-year-old
It's like, why is
gamble?
this pedophile sitting here using money that he clearly stole from the parents of his victims? Anyway, no, I need to say the date because people are upset. The date, good lord, fucking it was just spam. Like, what's the fucking date? Someone said they were gonna rescind their fucking retweet because I didn't say the date. So, it is June 29th, 2014. Jesus, Sunday. Okay, there you
And
go.
we legitimately don't know where Blacklight Attack is.
No, well,
somewhere
he doesn't.
in America.
Well, maybe. Hey, the date may end up being important
Yeah,
Yeah,
if we can't
that's
find
true.
him.
that's true.
That's actually a good point. Maybe this week it will matter. But yeah, it was so funny. Every time we would come back from the strip, like I was driving back, we'd be out in these like bodunk, like just absolutely nothing, just in the desert. And also the heat. It was like
Yeah.
109, 110, just walking everywhere.
Well,
It's
and the thing is, when you leave
worse.
EDC,
Like, if you-
EDC shuts down at 5:30 in the morning. So we get to our car. We'll be like the first 2 days we'd leave at like 5:15. So we get to our car at like 5:30. It's 87 degrees at 5:30 in the fucking morning.
Yeah.
Like what
You're
the fuck is
sweating.
wrong with you?
like
It's
if you
Vegas
were
in the
born
summer, yes.
Yeah, if you were born and raised in Nevada, you are at least a contributing member to society, you have overcome an
I feel
incredible.
like if you were raised in
incredible
Nevada, you probably
upbringing.
look like an armadillo, like or some kind of desert creature.
It's a testament to the fact that anyone has ever lived, past like age 20 there. Like,
Yeah.
The fact that you can even survive in the summer is really a testament to the human will.
Other than
That's
the
true.
shittiness of Nevada, EDC was fucking amazing. A lot of awesome music
awesome.
and good times.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a good time.
You were working part of it, Scott?
Yeah, at the last minute, I'm working on a show with them for like their YouTube stuff, which we're still working on. But they wanted me to come, and I was gonna go anyway. So they gave me they made me part of the film crew, and they wanted me to film some pieces that will probably air on YouTube at some point once I can find an editor there. But it was weird. What was weird about it was they wanted me to come, and then it was so last minute that they didn't really have a camera guy or a sound guy for me. So I was having to wrangle my own people. So there was a lot of waiting around and stuff like that. But it ended up being fine. But yeah, it was fun. It was good. But I was glad to be back. Usually after EDC, I'm like, man, I wish that never ended. And then when we were driving back, I was like, God, I just want to go sleep in my own bed.
Yeah.
Also, we went early, so that was part of the reason.
Yeah, I saw the
so
pictures
it was
from
it was every day at we were both there from 6:30
Yeah,
to 5:30.
my call time was at 4:30 the first day, and to put in perspective, we left the parking lot at 6. So it's just a long day and night. But yeah, it was good. What about you boys? What have you been up to this week?
Summer camp was this weekend.
Oh yeah, that's what
How you feeling?
I feel great because I didn't really do that much drinking Saturday night. I got incredibly out of my mind drunk and other
Long live the
substances
king.
as well Friday night. I apparently at one point there was so Ron's dad has this skeleton Halloween dummy thing that he keeps out there now, and he calls it Cross-Eyed John, and it's the size of a 10 to 12-year-old child kind of thing, and it's looks like the Crypt Keeper. So at first it was just hanging in the bathroom, or in the outhouse, and so it would just move around camp. Like they would just set Cross-Eyed John up in places. But at one point, I guess I was incredibly intoxicated and went and got a hot dog, and like was like picking another hot dog up, and so I had 2 hot dogs. I had one in each hand, just the hot dog, no bun.
Okay.
And Ron and my friend Jeremiah like saw me, and I like looked at them like I had been caught doing something terrible, and I just ran, and they just and they chased me, and they chased me down. And when they caught me, I was like behind the woodpile, which was not very far, so I did not run very far. I was just like, I smoked all the weeds. And then I went, and that was all I told them. And
That's
then
what
I
you
went
said
and
to
sat
them?
in my tent, yeah. And then I went in my tent and ate my hot dogs. And then they tried to put Cross-Eyed John in the tent with me. So I would wake up to the Crypt Keeper in the morning.
Yeah.
And I woke up like while they were trying to do this, and I was like questioning Ron's moral integrity. I was like, why would you do this to a person? I don't remember any of this. I was like, why would you even do this to someone? This is horrible. It's a horrible thing to do someone, to put a Cross-Eyed John in their tent. What do you think? This is like a war crime. What are you doing?
Morally outraged.
Yeah, none of it made any sense at that point. It was pretty sweet though. And then I puked inside my tent, which is a horrible experience.
I was
Let
waiting
me
for
tell you that.
Then it's like an aroma sauna of puke.
God,
Yeah,
that's
because like
so nasty.
your tent just turns into a heat oven during the
What do you
day.
even do with that?
I mean,
Just
you
throw
don't
the
sleep
tent
in. I mean, luckily most of it got outside. Like, I mean, I cleaned it up. I just slept in the tent. I mean, that night there was nothing I could do. I just went back to sleep. Like, what was I gonna do? I was really drunk.
That sounds
Good
horrible.
God.
So, yeah, that was my. I mean, it was a good weekend. I had a great time.
Do you think you recovered? You've been recovering so well because of all the clean living you've been doing for this up to this?
No,
This, like,
100%.
month?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
I think
Look at you,
that
Dan.
was a lot of it.
I was looking
Saturday-
at pictures of you. I was getting a little hard the other day. It's like, damn, Dan's dropped some weight, man. Looking good.
Yeah, dropped 11 pounds and then ruined a bunch of it this weekend.
Yeah. Well,
So,
you know.
Dogs
But,
and kraut. It's worth it if it's dogs and kraut.
well, we not only had dogs and kraut this year, we had a dude who runs a food truck, a pulled pork food truck, come up and bring his smoker, and they smoked a whole pig
Jesus
like all day
Christ.
Saturday. And so we had like all these varieties of pulled pork.
How do you
We
fit
had-
a pig in a blunt?
Great question.
The community blood.
That's a really like when you think about it, that's got to be a huge. That's a lot of rolling paper. Like
Jesus.
you smoked the whole pig.
So anyway, they had it in the smoker, and they made jalapeno mango pulled pork. They made
Jesus, that sounds so good.
there were 3 or 4 other options. I only ate the jalapeno mango one because it was so fucking good. And then they had like homemade macaroni and cheese and homemade slaw and all this stuff. It was so fucking good. But yeah, it was a good weekend.
Why didn't
Was
you
there
go
any
for
Mike
the
Pollack
mustache look?
sightings?
Why didn't I do a mustache?
Yeah.
Because my beard's looking real good lately. I don't want to get rid of it.
Mustache Dan is best Dan though.
It's true.
The pictures you
True.
get with Mustache Dan are next level.
I mean, we did we did tweet a picture of me on the hookah with the hashtag Christian dads who vape. So I mean,
Damn it.
but yeah, as far as non-video game things, that was my
Yeah.
my big thing.
Anyone else have any non-video game things, or is everyone else just a fucking nerd this week?
Built a new
Anything?
PC.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fucking video game related, so that
Oh,
doesn't count.
okay. All right.
Nope, sorry, Brandon.
I'll
what's
just wait my turn.
John?
No, nothing really.
Nothing
I was in
really?
LA for VidCon for a couple days, but
Oh, God bless you at VidCon. I
No,
can't
I went
think
Oh
to-
man,
I went to a flea market.
Cool.
awesome, sick. Are you a 50-year-old woman?
Yeah, so you wouldn't think, like you wouldn't think that was noteworthy,
Validate him.
except that the flea market is on Treasure Island, which is right between It's like between the East Bay and San Francisco, and it's like
I
it's
don't know why I'm just laughing at this, but I'm.
So I was not excited about it, but like the definition of a flea market in San Francisco is apparently very
You need the details
like-
of the flea markets.
Whoa!
why don't you let me finish?
Finish. Sorry, let him finish. Let him
It was
finish.
basically just like people with arts and crafts type tents, and then like food trucks, and not at
That's
all
not
a
a
flea
flea
market.
market.
It was not a flea market. It was called a flea market. It was not a flea market. It was just sort of like arts and crafts people like bringing their stuff, but like food trucks and music, and basically just like a little like fair. Almost.
Yeah, this sounds like a fair, not a flea market. If you
Yeah.
drive by a flea market in Western Pennsylvania, it looks like if you stop your car there, they're gonna strip it and sell the parts.
No, yeah,
Like,
no.
it does not
being
look
from
like you wanna be
Texas,
there.
I am very acutely aware of what a flea market is, and this was while it was called a flea market, it was not really a flea market, but it was really cool. It was like a really nice day, great view of San Francisco, had a lobster roll from a food truck, so it was a
There you
nice
go.
time.
Electric Daisy flea market. That combination of things.
I just like how
You're
you
just
came
you're
in with
bartering and there's lasers shooting into your eyes.
I just like how he was like, I went to a flea market just like out of the blue. Like, I don't know if it was
you-
a confession or.
You asked for non-video game
Yeah,
things,
you're
and that
right.
was the only thing I could think of.
All right, well, sorry. Go ahead. Continue with your PC build that you did.
Yeah, so I built a new PC this weekend with 4790K that just came out like a few days ago, and so far it's really awesome. I just took my SSD out of my old PC
This is awesome.
with all my new parts, and I put it in the new PC, expecting it not to work, but just like thinking maybe it would. I booted it up, worked perfectly. Like I'm just on my same
Yeah.
Windows install with a brand new motherboard, CPU.
Really?
Everything.
pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
I was shocked. Like it booted up. It found like it had to refine some of the drivers and things, but I restarted it. So far, I've had no issues with it. So I'm the back of my mind. I'm just waiting until like some horrible issue that I can't figure out that I just have to trace back to using like not
I think this
reformatting.
means you're the chosen one.
Maybe
Yeah,
I
what the
don't know.
What?
What's your midichlorian count?
Last time I tried that, it just blue screened on. I like
Yeah, I
tried
mean, that's
it.
what I
did the
expected
same
to
with this
happen.
build I have right now.
That's what I
You were able
expected
to
to happen.
swap it, or did you blue screen, John?
I was using Windows 8 though, so
Okay.
Yeah, but so I did that. I got the Phantom 530 and I got a Corsair H100i, which I thought was going to work fine. Like I Googled clearance issues and stuff to see if there was going to be any problem with it. Sure enough, like it doesn't fit exactly right in the spot that it's supposed to fit in, where you can mount the radiator above the frame of the case. And I thought I would just mount all of it below the frame of the case, which is how you mount it in most cases. Until I realized, as I was like going to plug in cables, that was blocking the 8-pin power connector on my motherboard. So my build took me like four hours because of just like finding random problems with the cooler mounting, and I ended up having to sort of rig it in a weird way that I think is fine, but that gave me some issues. But overall, the build is pretty clean. I'm happy with it, and the 4790K so far looks like a beast, and
should be.
it runs really cool.
Yeah, that was the
I've-
big thing for. Sorry to interrupt. That was the big thing for people who don't know. Old Haswell chips had horrible thermal paste between the heat spreader and the chip itself, so they didn't overclock very well, and they've corrected that. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it runs really cool so far. It's been running like consistently under 30 degrees without an overclock, and it seems really easy to overclock to like 4.6, 4.7. I've been reading a lot of people just hit a wall at 4.8. But like I'm also not that concerned with it because I mean the difference between 4.6 and 4.8 is not that big.
No.
And I like it's fast. It's pretty much at this point like fast enough for just about anything you need at 4.6. And it was only running at, I think I've got like up to 60. Like the cooler is really good. Everything is really good. So I'm really happy with it. And I did not need to spread thermal paste because the H100i comes with a little coating of thermal
Very
paste on it
true.
already.
So all those old credit cards that you saved for this task, what is happening to them? Are they thrown to the street
I
now?
know. No, they're just ready for the next build or when I need to reapply. You actually like. I think you're joking, but I actually do have like a pile of credit cards just for that.
I was joking, but that's not shocking to me.
No, I literally have. Well, it's not just credit cards, but just like any you know, you accumulate plastic cards that gift cards and stuff.
Rewards cards.
I have a pile of them just because once you spread thermal paste with a card, that is going in the trash. There is no salvaging it.
Yeah, it's got crap all over it that's not going to come off at that point.
This did remind me, I wasn't going to share this because it's pretty embarrassing, but I had to reinstall Windows on my machine because I got the hankering for some reason.
Say why.
I have to say why.
Activities.
You have to say why now.
Some reason I was like, it was late one night and I was like, I really want to watch the Watchmen like uncut like director's edition version. So I went on a torrent site that I don't usually go on. God bless me, I don't know why. And I downloaded this torrent. I scanned the files. They looked legit, like it was just a movie file. I opened it up like it was playing. It was fine. However, ever since then, like I was starting to get like like your machine's running slow, and like I'm going to websites and I'm getting forwarded like to random pop-up. I'm like, what the fuck? I clearly have a virus. So I'm scanning with everything. I have like MSE running. I've got malware bytes. I'm like going deep, running those deep scans, and it's finding stuff and deleting it and saying it's fine, but like it just kept getting worse and worse, and I was like, it's clearly not fine, so I just got to wipe it. So anyway, that was just don't go download Watchmen if you ever get
ever on any site.
Never. I think
that's why you don't do illegal activities.
P-Dogs with the site, you probably use legittorrents.ru/keylogger.
I don't know. I'm probably super doxxed right now. The Russian mafia is probably coming for me. It's over. But
yeah, the Russian mafia really has the Watchmen torrent.
Moral of the story is if you illegally download movies, your computer becomes part of a botnet. So don't do that.
You wouldn't steal a car, Scott.
I might steal a car.
You wouldn't download a car.
You wouldn't download a car.
You wouldn't download a car, would you?
This is why I should have just gone to iTunes and given Steve Jobs my money. God bless it. But
he's dead, so he's not getting it.
You don't know that.
You actually don't know that for sure.
Were you there? Did you see his corpse in the fucking... You didn't see it.
I did, and it looked like Ashton Kutcher.
God. By the way, I tried to start that movie. I couldn't get through the first 2 minutes of that movie.
It's not very
I don't know how you did.
I watched the whole thing.
I couldn't, like, I was like waiting for him to be like, this is an episode of Punk'd. I couldn't get past it. And he sounds nothing like Steve Jobs. Like, I was like, how the fuck? What is this casting?
Sometimes he'll try and say words to sound like Steve Jobs, and the rest of the time he'll just sound like normal.
It was so bad for me, I just couldn't do it. I'm sorry, but anyway. So yeah, game related though. Let's start with you, Dan.
All right. Played some more Watch Dogs. It's still really mediocre.
Did you play it with the mod?
Yes, it does look ridiculously good though with the mod. Crazy good. And they've actually patched it since then, so I'm gonna have to get the new version, see how that works out. I'm gonna try to run it with sweet effects too, on which I did not get a chance to do both. I was afraid it might crash. But yeah, no, it's Watch Dogs. It kind of is what it is. Playing a lot of Binding of Isaac over the past week, getting back into that. Because that game's super good. I don't know if Rebirth's coming out this year, but I really fucking hope so. Because I just need another Isaac game.
Is it going to have a different visual style? Or
different visual style, tons of new items, tons of different mechanics are being introduced. It's basically a whole new game. It should have just been, it's called Rebirth, but it should have just been Binding of Isaac 2 or something. It's not in Flash anymore. That's probably the biggest thing. So it won't crash and slow down sometimes like it does. Yeah, I know, no blah for Shovel Knight. I did not play any Shovel Knight. I played some BF4 still back into BF4. WildStar, though. WildStar I want to talk about because never since Classic WoW has there been worse quest pacing in a game ever. It is excruciating.
I'm actually not really enjoying this mid
Yeah,
mid
it's
20s to late 30s thing. It's not fun at all. Like I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to push myself through it.
yeah, it's really
just
bad.
not like late game seems like it's gonna be really good. I have to like get myself there, and it's not easy when I could just play Counter-Strike.
Yeah, like that's the thing is like there are a million other things I'd like to play, like, and that's bad because I was grinding it so hard, and then now it's just this 20 to 30 slog. It's you're just slogging through it. I mean, it's some of the worst paced content that I've ever been through in an MMO. Like it's really.
I think I'll eventually get to max level, but I don't think that I'm gonna rush there like I thought I was. I mean, I'd been traveling so much, I haven't had enough time to play, but I don't think I'm gonna rush anymore.
It's well. The other thing is like if you PvP, apparently it's fast as fuck. But what if I don't want to PvP? Like, what if I don't want to queue for Battlegrounds and just do that? Like, questing. I even got this quest mod that people were yelling at me to get. This 8th quest, and it does help, but it's still just really poorly paced. It's just really poorly paced. Like I don't know. They really could have done a better job at that because everything else about that game sounds fantastic and is good. I love the gameplay itself. I love playing my character, but man, so that's kind of taken a backseat to other things. I bought a few things on the Steam sale as well. I didn't end up buying all that much. I bought Wasteland 2 was the big one. That was like the biggest thing I bought, and then Brandon and I got some games for Extra Life, so that was cool. And we got Wolfenstein. So I think I'm gonna do a playthrough of that new Wolfenstein on the KBMOD channel because I've heard only good things. So I really want to give it a go.
Yeah, and it's 50% off right now. I mean, that's a pretty good deal.
I mean, it's
deal.
a single player only game, but for $30, I'm okay with it.
I just like when companies do that. Like I think that's pretty awesome to put the game on 50% off when it just came out really recently.
Yeah.
And I mean, like Bethesda is one of the few companies that does that, and I wish more AAA companies would do that because like it's more valuable, I think, to get your game in front of, twice and 3 times as many people by putting it on sale than it is to keep it at 60, like Call of Duty does.
Especially a game that from like most reviews and most even word of mouth is like game of the year type good. With Wolfenstein. Like Bioshock
seems like a good way to keep that positive press going, like keep it in the news cycle.
Yeah. I also bought Broforce because it looks hysterical and also really fun. Apparently it's in early access, which I didn't actually know when I bought it because I bought it on my phone at at summer camp. What else did I buy? I bought something else. I bought that Naruto game, but that was like last week. Secret Ponchos given to me as well. But yeah. I don't know. Steam sale this year was not as exciting, probably because I own.
I think
more
it wasn't.
games, but
Yeah, it wasn't as exciting for me just because I own so many of the games. But that doesn't mean it wasn't exciting. Like I was glad to see all that stuff on sale, but I already owned a lot of it.
I bought one game.
The few that I didn't own.
Assassin's Creed 4.
I came so close to buying Black Flag.
I bought Black Flag, yeah.
Because I've heard only good things about that game as well. I'm just looking at the front page here. Oh, Black Flag's on there. I may do that. Yeah, there were some crazy deals on some big AAA stuff, but
Tomb Raider was $5, or I think it is $5
yeah,
right now.
It's still, yeah. What a disappointment.
Steam sales just remind me of all the money I fucking wasted throughout the rest of the year. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, you paid full price for all of these games, get slapped in the fucking face. You didn't even play most of these, you idiot.
It's true. Really an indictment to Arkham Origins, though, that it's already $750 on a Steam sale.
The game is... Didn't that come out like
9 months ago?
Like 9 months ago?
But, I mean...
That's...
You weren't seeing $7 Bioshock 9 months after. Like... I don't know.
It was 20 first summer.
I think that's
Bioshock
probably a good buy for 750. It's not the best Batman
yeah.
game, clearly, but I mean, it's enjoyable. There's
I was gonna say
enjoyment to be
Bioshock
had.
for like 750 was one of the best deals too.
I'm just
I already
looking at
own
what's
it,
on here.
but-
Bioshock's 750 on here. Saints
Like
Row
if
4
I would have
$10.
copped Dishonored for that $5 spot, I wouldn't have hated it as much.
Yeah,
Well, I didn't hate Dishonored. I just thought it was pretty.
I'll tell you one thing. Yeah,
Okay.
we gave that thing Game of the Year, but and yeah, whatever. It's the joke now. But did you watch that Dishonored speed run? Holy fuck!
Yes.
And the
Good
races?
transition.
Is it good? What does
God,
a Dishonored
they're so-
speedrun look
it's
like?
so
Is it
fun
a
to
lot of?
watch.
Is it like a lot of a
Blinking.
teleport?
Probably a
like
lot of blink
constant.
and a lot of blink through walls and shit where you're not.
Yeah,
supposed
but it's
to be
so
able
hard to
blink.
appreciate. Like, unless I mean, if you play the game, you know that it can be tricky, like blinking. Like these guys, just the speed. Yeah, it was really cool, and how they have to keep their mana up. And anyway, it was a cool run to watch. I mean, if anything, you know, give Dishonored credit because it looks cool being speed run. So that's what I was gonna say.
Like, so SGDQ. Talk about that
Yes.
before we get
Oh,
to
yeah.
what other people played, since you just brought it up.
Yeah.
traveling. I haven't played anything.
Yeah, John. All right, John and play. You have been on the road like crazy.
Yeah.
Fenton, you play any video games?
I played Smite, Assassin's Creed a little bit today. Sniper Elite 3, which is pretty
How
dope.
is it?
The
Is it
multiplayer
good?
sucks.
Multiplayer
but the
sucks.
single player's cool. Yeah, I mean it sucked in the second one too.
Oh, okay.
You're
Is
not
there
playing
co-op?
multiplayer.
Is there
It's
a
for co-op. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The co-op's really fun.
The
I played
co-op is
the
cool.
first 2 levels of co-op with they sent start copies because of his videos that
Yeah,
he did
yeah.
before. So we were playing. Yeah, it's really fun. It's really deep too. We're playing on the hardest difficulty. Like you got to go really slow, and there's a lot of strategy.
There's
It's really
the
fun.
new difficulty called Authentic where it's
Yeah.
no saves, no checkpoints.
No HUD.
Oh God,
Yeah,
that's
no,
kind
had
of
nothing.
awesome. Actually, I love when I don't necessarily play
And
that.
so
mode
there was,
in
yeah,
those
there was
kind of
already
games, but
Sniper Elite difficulty, and they were just like, "Now we're gonna go another one above that."
It's like Ranger mode in the Metro games, which,
Yeah.
by the way, if you haven't bought much on this Steam sale, Metro Last Light Complete is on here, and you should buy it now for $6, and then get the discount for the Redux when it comes out in July. The game is super good, but Ranger
Sniper-
mode in that game is crazy. Same kind of thing.
I don't know about you, Scott, but does Sniper Elite run really well for you?
Yeah, it runs.
Because
Yeah,
I'm
I
on
don't have-
everything maxed out,
Yeah.
anti-aliasing off because I turn.
I think it's really well
anti-aliasing off.
optimized. Yeah, it
But I'm
looks pretty good.
running at like 120, 130 frames a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a
it's
pretty good looking game. Like it's not
The
like the
action's
absolute
cool.
craziest, but yeah, it's a very good looking game.
Um,
And there's like a new the whole new systems with like you can see the muscles in the skeleton
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And like
I was gonna say that's all anyone cares
and,
about. Like
and
how
vehicles
good is it?
vehicles have X-ray now too. So like you shoot the engine and you can see all like the everything moving inside of it. I don't know shit about
That's
cars, so I can't
pretty
even tell
awesome.
you what's in there. Fucking
engines.
gears turning.
Yeah.
And
The levels,
metal.
and they also did a lot with like the levels are less linear. They're a lot more open and huge now. So like, anyway, it was very
It's way more
noticeable. The
focused,
first 2
like-
levels.
Sniper Elite, it was like post up and just wait for people to pop their heads out. Where this one, it's like take a shot, move somewhere else, take a shot, move somewhere else. Like you have to be moving.
You'll die so quick on the hardest difficulty if you stay in one spot. Like it's like Splinter Cell with the where they would show your ghost in those later games. When you would move, it would show like where your last position was. You don't see any of that, but that's how it works. Enemies like are really
Okay.
smart in the game. So anyway, I think it'll be good. I still got to play more, but I played that, and just real quick before so we get to the next thing, I also played. I finally bought the only game I bought on the Steam sale was Gone Home because Nick was telling me to buy it forever. So it was like
How'd you like
$3.
How did
didn't-
it make you feel?
Yeah, how did it make me feel? I don't know. I wasn't sure where it was going. I mean, I thought the voice acting was. I thought it was interesting. I mean, for $3, I wasn't upset that I played through it. I thought it was a cool little experiment, and I mean, it definitely made you feel certain levels of emotions. I kind of felt that when I got to the end, I kind of was like, wait, that's what this was all about. I kind of felt a little bit of that without any spoilers, but I thought it was interesting.
It's a weird game because you kind of have to review it. Well, not really review it, but like assess it like as it being a game, but also kind of as a movie almost because it's like the type of game that it isn't. I don't know.
I mean, the
It's
gameplay
very-
is
it's very
they're not-
movie-like.
There's
Not
only
really-
one way it plays out. So
Yeah.
it's like
Exactly.
it's just you're playing in a narrative.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I had bought the game for 20, but what was it when it came out? $20?
it's a $20 game. Yeah,
If I had paid $20, I would be pissed. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's too short for me to spend $20 on. $3, no brainer. Like you should definitely try it. I think.
is it on
I
sale
would
right now? I don't know, but if it is on sale right now for this
It
last
goes on
day,
sale
buy
every
it.
single Steam sale.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're making a
Nice.
new studio, on a side note, the people who made that, just for experimental game type things.
Huh.
Like, so.
That's interesting.
It's
FYI.
$5 right now if you're on the live stream. So.
But,
All right. SGDQ.
yes.
Hold on, I was gonna
Oh,
mention
go ahead.
one thing.
yeah.
I started playing Transistor,
Yes.
which is
What's your feel?
It's really good. I mean, I think it is uncanny to me how the developers of Bastion could make another game that feels in some ways exactly like Bastion, but still feels like its own game. It's very hard to describe, but if you put this game in front of me and been like, who made this game? I'd be like Supergiant immediately.
You just know the studio.
It's a beautiful art style, really like cool soundtrack, but very different story. I'm only maybe a couple hours into it, maybe like an hour and a half, but I'm like so far I really like it. I think it's another very quality game.
Yeah. Very cool. I hope to play it soon. But it is accessible to me. SGDQ. So there were many good runs. Many, of course. You know, when you're going 24 hours for 6 days or whatever. As always, they were ridiculous. They raised $700,000 something for Doctors Without Borders. Not surprised they didn't break the million like AGDQ did, but it is a slightly smaller event, the summer one.
Yeah.
So
It's the largest SGDQ has ever raised.
yeah, and like I'm trying to think of the most hype run for me, and I don't know if anyone else even watched it. If you didn't see the Lost Vikings run, which was Blizzard's first game, by the way, for people who don't know, it's a platformer puzzle game for Super Nintendo. This dude played 2 controllers by himself.
Oh, I
And it
didn't
was a
see it,
speed
but I
run?
did hear about it after
So
the fact.
the way he had it set up, and I can't have my camera on Skype, so you guys can't see what I'm doing, but is he had the controller sandwiched so that the SNES controller on top was normal, and then the one on the bottom was just opposite, so he could hit the buttons on the bottom, and the D-pad and buttons would obviously be on the opposite side. So he's like using his pinkies and ring fingers to do the buttons on the bottom controller, because with co-op you do like 2 of the Vikings with one controller and one Viking with the other, and you have to switch between them because they all have different abilities that they can use to get through areas. And he beat the whole game in like an hour or something. And he was like, at the end he was like, I'm not even really a speedrunner though, like I just route games for people most of the time. I'm like, you're a fucking ridiculous human being, dude. You just played the co-op version of this game with 2 controllers back to back. It was ridiculous. Anyone else? Big highlights?
Yeah. So there were. I mean, I watched so many runs. I liked a lot of them, but I think my favorite one, Trials Fusion.
Yes, 100%.
I'm gonna post this link in chat.
The most insane. Are you gonna post the recovery?
Yes.
The recovery one.
It was ridiculous.
It was the absolute craziest recovery. I don't know how he did it. I don't think he knew how he did it. But he was toward the end of this level and he recovered from being falling completely backwards. It was the most amazing, just the most amazing moment.
Oh my
It was
god.
the hypest moment of the entire event. The chat, you should have seen the chat live. Like, it was fucking
The chat exploded
nuts.
for a solid minute.
Yeah, it's all a minute, 2 minutes.
Like, I mean, just this whole, this was
how?
like the coolest. This was the coolest moment, but the whole run was nuts. I had never, I had never watched a Trials speedrun of any sort. But
I didn't even know that could even be done. That's insane.
It is so good. And like, as one of the incentives, he did like the hardest, I forget the terminology, but like the hardest level in the most extreme difficulty, which just looked absolutely bananas. But he did it in like, I think 10 some minutes, like 10 or 12 minutes. Yeah. And that was like an incredible time.
Yeah.
For that track. So that was my favorite one. For a lot of the week I was watching on my other monitor. For Trials Fusion, I was literally just watching the whole time, and all of a sudden like 30 plus minutes had passed, and I was lost in the whole thing.
Yeah, I watched the Donkey Kong countries. I was watching it with my son a bunch. He fucking loves the GDQs. Like, he loves why he doesn't even know what half the games are because He's
Yeah.
6, and like regular Nintendo isn't even a thing in his head. So, but like they did that night with Trials Fusion. I think they got like 4 world records that night, like overnight runs. It was like Trials Fusion, and then like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 was a world record.
Dude, the Tony Hawk run.
Yeah, the Tony Hawk.
I just couldn't. I couldn't.
Yeah.
Like
I
even
just-
believe it.
Yeah.
Game
When I
I've
saw the
spent so
estimate
much
for
time
that
on.
game, when I saw the estimate for that game at like 10 or 20 minutes, I was like, what?
Yeah, I've
What?
seen it before. Yeah, it's incredible because they get every single goal in one run usually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like there's no reset.
Oh, and the chat brings up a good one. The blind Super Meat Boy run was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true, too.
Absolutely ridiculous.
Mhm.
Like the first several levels, he doesn't. The first probably I don't know 6, 7, 8 levels, he doesn't. He gets it in one try, and then even the harder levels, you can see that he knows the level and he's just trying to get the button presses right. I couldn't believe it.
Yep. Especially when I think of myself playing that fucking game, and it's like
Yeah.
I'm missing everything, having to go up the same ramp 8 times to get one of the letters or whatever. Like,
And you were probably good at it compared to your friends as well.
yeah, I mean, I was pretty good at it, and it was still like 20 minutes for the whole game. 20 minutes for one level on the easier ones, maybe. But yeah, GDQ always awesome. And this year, if you guys did miss any runs, which I missed a lot, because I felt like they scheduled so many good games overnight, like from midnight to 6 a.m. my time. And so I was like, I missed System Shock 2, which was beaten in 25 minutes, the 14-hour game. But they cut them all this year. They made sure to cut all the different games, and they're uploading. Eventually, they're going to all be on YouTube on the SDA channel or whatever. But you can watch all the VODs right now.
What is YSG speedrun? I know who he is. I just never see him when he's actually
Yellow
speedrunning.
shirt guy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what he speedruns,
He
but
was-
he's yellow shirt
he's
guy.
Someone's saying he
Boy?
was.
I think he's Meat Boy.
Is he? Okay.
I don't know.
I'll have to look it up.
Does it matter?
He's hilarious. He's the one with
YSG.
the high pitched laugh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Trying to think of what else is really hype. I watched one of the Mega Mans. It was just like all he did was get into walls and teleport across the whole level. Like that was the whole run. It was
Yeah.
like pretty ridiculous. Especially if you've never played Mega Man. Mega Man is fucking hard. It's so hard. Just playing it normally is hard.
Also, like, I
So-
want to meet these guys. Like, so there was a Paper Mario run towards the end of the
One of the
thing.
most broken games
Like,
ever. Yeah.
Yeah, one of those were great, but it's like a 5.5, 6 hour run. Like, how do you speed run a game that the speed run is 6 hours? Like 2.5 hours in, he was like, there's obviously shit that can totally ruin the run where it's like, I should just reset. It's like the patience you have to like, I just can't. I can understand I can't understand really any of it because I would go fucking
Like
nuts out there,
Carnage
but-
or whatever his name was does. He does
Yeah.
Final Fantasy
Final
7.
Fantasy.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
Yeah, the
7
Final
hour-
Fantasy
7 hour
runs.
game.
It's like
They
an
were
8.5
asking during
hour
the.
run.
They were asking during one of those runs, like, do you get like food during the run? Do you eat anything during the run? And I was thinking about it. I was like,
6
yeah,
hours,
That's
man,
right. Like,
yeah.
6+
Or
hours.
Carnage is
Like-
8 hours. I think Final Fantasy
And when
records
you
are
had
8
like
hours
you have
something.
both your hands on a controller or on on a mouse and keyboard, like in a speed run, sometimes you can't
Yeah.
even take a drink.
Yeah.
It's insanity.
Like
dude.
I think of it this way: I've done 12-hour streams. I've done that, but if I even think about that, I'm not having to focus 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
On something that hard for like even 4 or 5 hours. The first one I did Dark Souls for like 8 hours during it. But I wasn't, there were times when I could like, I'll take a drink of water or something. You can't even do that. You can't even do that. You got to keep moving. Like you can't even do that. I mean, that Link's Awakening run was sick. One of my favorite games of all time, and I know it's more fun for me
That was a
seeing
cool run.
games that I know really well. And I've beaten that game multiple times, so seeing that broken like it was, he beat like the first 3 dungeons in the time it takes you to get to the first one normally. Like it was crazy.
Did you guys know I'm going to be at the next speedrunning event?
You gonna do Mirror's Edge?
I'm going to be speedrunning reading the Bible out loud.
That's a terrible speed run.
That's not a game.
That's
That's just a poor life decision.
You're right. You're right, Scott. The Bible isn't a game.
God damn it.
It's
Okay,
my
yeah.
life.
So YSG is Blue Glass. I know I'd heard that. Okay.
Yeah, he does
I
Echo
get
the
that.
Dolphin.
Echo
which
the
is,
Dolphin. Yeah.
What's
Okay,
funny to me
I
is
remember
how
that now.
if I was a developer and then watching some of those,
Yeah.
like, and then you just see how broken your game is, like how unbelievably broken. They had the new Double Dragon game that's on Steam. They had the dudes who made that on Skype with the runner at AGDQ, and there were times when that dude would do some trick where, like, he clip through something or force enemy AI to do something real dumb so you could get through it faster. And there were a couple times where they were just like, "What the fuck?" Like the developers were like, "What in the world is that?" And like one of them, I remember being like, "We gotta patch that."
If there's any feedback I would give, it was I want more of that stuff. I think it's fascinating when they have the developers on or sitting even next to. I mean, they can't obviously. They can only do with who's available, but like more of that because I love watching the reactions of like you said, of the devs. Like that shit is so priceless. Hearing them talk about it and if anything, I hope maybe next time they'll have more of that. But.
So, all right, guys, we're gonna take a quick 2-minute commercial break, and then we will be back with. Come on, Twitch. Why is this blank? Brandon, can you run a commercial? I think it's because better Twitch TV.
Brandon has that special 10-minute commercial option. Hit that 10-minute one.
I'm not getting any menu options.
Actually, do that 30-minute infomercial spot.
Yes. I'm going to drink.
2-minute commercial. We'll be back in just a moment.
Thanks.
Did Scott just say he's gonna go get a fucking drink?
Yeah.
His computer is in the fucking living room.
It is?
The fridge is like 5 feet away from his desk. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna go get a fucking drink.
Why is it in the living room? Why is he not in his room?
It's been in the living room for like a month.
Oh.
He brought it out in the living room one weekend for a Mixify thing, and it just hasn't gone back in his room because he hasn't cleaned his room.
I loved that Instagram video you posted of Scott playing League. One of the great things that I've ever.
I kept walking out there and awkwardly putting my phone on the counter, like, and then just leaving it there, and then like bring the laundry back to my room or something. Yes, Baron Nashor, Baron Nashor.
All right, I'm back. I know. What do you? Oh, that's fucking a crime that you would do that. I will say, when I heard that that's how I sound, I was like, good fucking lord.
Well, no, what I thought, you always sounded that way when you played, but it was only on streams that I could hear you, and I was like, oh, maybe he's playing it up just a little for the stream, trying to be funny. Nope, that's just Scott.
Full choir boy, dude. Just full choir boy.
Yeah. Well, like, that went on for like 30 minutes, too, and I was like, all right, if you're going to keep this up, you're getting exposed, motherfucker.
Okay, I got a exposed video for Nick.
I know
I'm
you
sitting
do.
I'm just sitting on it. Don't worry.
I'm not happy about it.
Soon.
I could just spoil it right here.
You can spoil it, but I still have the video. They can't appreciate it till they see the glory of it.
Right. No, I'll be a nice person. I won't spoil it. See, I'm in on the game. We're all having fun. Right? Right, Scott?
I hate you. Shut the fuck up.
Scott?
Ooh, just
Are we back from commercial?
Yeah, are we back? I don't even know.
Like,
Brandon, you gotta tell me.
Not yet. No, we
right.
just got back
okay.
4 seconds ago.
I was like, are we in limbo or?
All right. The news. We finally have some screenshots of Curse of Naxxramas, and it's coming out in July here. The pricing will be announced this week. The article I have was from last week, so we'll get the pricing on that. You'll have to pay either in-game gold or real money to unlock certain parts of the Curse of Naxxramas Hearthstone expansion. But the coolest thing... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say there's wings. So I think the first wing is free, I believe, and then you have to pay for the other ones.
Yeah.
So they're just
these high quality screenshots from PC Gamer off of his phone.
It's off an iPad. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
it's also not PC Gamer. They've reposted these pictures.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I thought this was one of the coolest things, especially if you played Classic WoW and you got to do Nax, or if you played Wrath, I guess, and you got to do the neutered pussy version of Naxxramas, you little bitches. Then you will love what this is. So there's like a single player campaign, like with class challenges and stuff. and you can go through each of the raid wings, the plague quarter, the military quarter, the construct. You can go through each of these wings, and you play against, like, you know, Thaddeus and Eigen the Unclean and, like, all these iconic Naxxramas bosses, Patchwork, who all have, you know, special hero powers and that kind of things. Oh, new Blue Post is apparently up, said pricing will not be released this week, so there you go. But these screenshots are still out there, and I am actually super pumped to play through each wing in a single-player campaign like that. Because I thought, even though it was just to teach you the game, I thought the initial thing with having Illidan come out as the last boss there for, like, the tutorial, like, that's cool, and I wanted to see more of that, so...
Yeah, I think Hearthstone is fun as a single-player game. I think, like, the challenges and things, I think I'm really looking forward to it as well. I like the theme, I like the tie-in with the WoW lore. Like, this is a no-brainer for me. Luckily, I have enough in-game gold to just buy it outright. But
yeah, it's clear too that it's not the first one. You know, it's not the last one of these because it's like a Hearthstone adventure. So I'm sure we'll see.
Yeah.
Even if it's not, you know, even if it's not a full-on expansion, I think you might start seeing more, you know, a Sunwell thing or, you know, Black Temple, of course, ripe for this. They want to do that.
Yeah, they have so much lore to pull from. I mean, I could just see them copy pasting this kind of concept over and over with all the different WoW lore.
So I just thought one of the coolest things. So if you ever fought Thaddeus, which frankly isn't very many of you, probably if you're WoW players, Fugan and Stalag were the two guys you fought to sort of unlock Thaddeus to begin the real fight. In that you fought those two first. And he actually, like, there's two cards, Fugan and Stalag, and the death rattle. If the other one is also dead, summon Thaddeus. So, I mean, it's going to work just like the boss fight did. So I find that pretty cool. One's a 4/7, the other's a 7/4. Like, pretty cool stuff like that. I wasn't sure exactly how they would make it work. There's also a screenshot here of Patchwork, who has what appears to be at least 7 durability weapon that hits for 5 each time. So he's a pretty beast mode boss, as he should be. And he has a 4 mana hero power, but you can't tell what it is. So, but he has no cards in his deck, Thaddeus. He's just that. So, pretty cool.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I hope we get to see it sooner rather than later. I guess they have changed now to saying it's still just summer 2014 for the release, but
I was hoping they would just release it like in between the seasons because the ranked season ends in a couple days. So I thought, I guess maybe they'll release it in the middle of a season or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah. But moving on, Haswell-E for all you big balling people out there with millions of dollars to spend on.
If you have more money than sense.
Haswell-E coming out in September on the X99 chipset, and that'll also support DDR4, which was supposed to come out this June, but not much has come of that. But we have, of course, the extreme part, the i7 5960X. It's going to be 8 cores, 16 threads, which is ludicrous. 20 meg cache. 20
meg L3 cache.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
And 3.5 gigahertz with boost on. Then you'll have your 4930K equivalent, the 5930K, 6 core, 15 meg cache. And then a 5820K, which is another 6 core. Very big power draw on these, especially for chips nowadays. 140 watts, which is a lot for chips now, especially from Intel. But yeah, and those boards will require DDR4 memory, so you're going to be spending a lot just to get up and running those chips.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's clear is that at this point you shouldn't buy don't buy Ivy Bridge E. Either if you're building a new PC and you have a lot of money to spend, either get Devil's Canyon, like a 4790K, or wait for Haswell-E. but don't get Ivy Ridge E parts because they're crazy expensive and they're going to be more or less obsolete in the next 2-3 months.
Yeah, DDR4 is going to help a lot more than people think. And but the Extreme chip will of course be around $1,000. The 5930K will be around $500 or so, and then the other one will be like a $350 to $400 part.
But expect to pay a ton for DDR4 right now.
And motherboards.
And the motherboards. Like you should be expecting to spend like $3,000 plus easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
John's like, I'm in. All right, I'm fine with that.
Again, more money than sense.
So Kickstarter, there's been starting to crop up. We've had these every once in a while with either fake Kickstarters or sort of fraudulent promises, or take the money and run type deals have happened. Not that much, but this is the first time it's been really from people who claim to be part of a big game in the history of gaming, the Stalker series. But the other guys who also helped make Stalker are saying that they're not real, and that all the use of all the Stalker things. So this game is called Areal or Areal. I'm not actually sure how you pronounce it. It was put up on Kickstarter with a suspiciously low goal of $50,000 to be a spiritual successor to a game like Stalker, which is a massive game. It's as big as Skyrim or anything else. So they came out and they had this Kickstarter for $50K, and Vostok Games, who are a bunch of people from the original Stalker games, came out and said that the use of Stalker assets is not right, and that these guys didn't really do anything with Stalker, and that they really should take this Kickstarter down. Vostok are making an MMO called Servarium. They do have a lot of this stuff from Stalker in there. It's supposed to be the spiritual successor, which is why it was weird that another studio came out and said this as well. So then Areal, or however you pronounce this fucking thing, said they addressed the complaints, and Vostok is still saying they didn't. Vostok has no legal way to stop them, by the way, because they are not the rights holders, the Stalker. They're just trying to bring this to light. It sounds a lot like when the Orion Dino Horde stuff came out. This was many, many years ago now, but not before even that game was out. There was a big controversy with the guy who made it. You remember this? Where he used a bunch of assets from other games, and then he claimed he didn't. And so we'll have to see what comes of this. Nothing can stop, again, unless GSC, which is the rights holders to Stalker, they can't stop this Kickstarter from happening. You can't stop this game from happening.
I totally agree with Sham too. He's like, you asked for $50K?
Yeah, that's so shady, man.
Such a shady amount. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like that would. Yeah, it just
I think
weird.
that's the thing with Kickstarter is at this point you should understand what you're paying for, and there's always that chance that you pay for a project that just does not pan out and you don't get anything from it. Like when you read through this, they have 11 people listed on their team, and they're asking for $50,000. You just should not back it. Period.
Totally.
Like
yeah.
it doesn't even
That's
matter.
$5K a person.
Like someone on that team, if this was a legit, like a really legit thing, divide $50,000 by 11 people. There's nothing there. There's no money to make a game. There's enough money, for people to live for like a month.
Yeah, and like a game. My whole thing is, if that doesn't scare you, think about the scope of the game they're trying to make. It's essentially Skyrim in the nuclear Fallout type deal.
Yeah, I was amazed at the length of this Kickstarter page, and then I look at their like $50,000 and 11 people on this team. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, like Sham's right. Like a game like Hyperlight Drifter was at $50K goal originally and got like 900,000, but it was a $50K goal, and it was one dude. It was one dude, so he could supplement his income while he was working his real job and making Hyperlight Drifter. Like that is what $50K is for. Yeah, think about that. Like the Skullgirls devs wanted $200K for one DLC character. That's one character in a fighting game.
Yeah,
and that's true though. That's how much it actually costs to balance everything, the amount of time to animate everything. Everything's hand drawn in Skullgirls, for instance. So, like $50K, don't back this, please. Like Stalker was great, but just don't do this.
Bearded villain. 10 of them are being paid in trident layers.
Yes.
That's the only way any of it makes sense, actually, though.
50K to one dude. Yeah. All right, some esports news. This is sort of old news now, but the international is now over $10 million for the prize pool, and it will only continue up until what is it? A couple weeks, into July here. Jesus Christ, dude! Like, there's gonna be.
I heard a statistic that said that the international now pays out more than a PGA championship.
Yeah, it's more than the Masters, and more than, I think there's like a chart, more than a couple other things, and like a bit less than the Indy 500.
Like, okay, video games are not a legitimate
man.
competitive sport.
Esports aren't going away, everybody.
It's getting bigger.
Not when this happens.
And that's when, that's what people. It's always the bottom line, no matter what. So you know what I mean. So people that don't have anything to do with video games or think they don't, as this news starts popping around, we're going to see a lot more of this. So
yeah, because
it's
like, oh, there's money here.
So much money here.
Better start paying attention to this.
A couple $100,000. People cannot ignore $10 million. You just can't.
Yeah, it's too much money.
When you can legit compare your prize pool to like the fucking Masters, like, yeah. League of Legends is now a varsity sport at Robert Morris University, of which there is the main branch is in Pittsburgh. This is not at the main branch, though. It's at their Illinois location. It isn't an NCAA sport. I want to stress that. That would take, of course, the NCAA sanctioning it. But they will give you money to go to school as long as you keep a certain GPA to play League of Legends for them on a team. So, like, there will be the RMU League of Legends team. Will be like a pro team.
Don't there need to be? Oh, so they go into like the normal like competitive scene. They don't play against other schools.
They'll play in the CSL, the Collegiate Star League.
Okay.
Collegiate Star League, associated with 103 schools in the U.S. and Canada, competing for Riot's North American Collegiate Championship. So yes, they'll be in a league, but they will give you money to go to school and get a degree while you play League of Legends for them. Like, that's unheard of, and it hasn't happened until now. That's pretty awesome. So student athletes can now also play League of Legends, at least at one school.
It's only a matter of time. Like, colleges had like associations for like StarCraft and shit.
Yeah.
Like, that's been around forever. It's cool that it's taking the extra step. I mean, hopefully lots of schools will start doing it for different games and such.
Well, yeah, that's Sham. What you're arguing, it's funny. I'm reading the comments in the article. Sham's talking about how do they help people.
Please. What is he saying?
Okay, God. See, this is if you listen to the audio version, I really don't give a shit about you. All right, Sham just said, how do they hope for the people to be competitive while also keeping a schedule to hold a high GPA? But that's a bigger, discussion. All the comments are like, it's dumb, in basketball and football, these like varsity players, and it'd be like, yeah, we really care about your education. Like, you don't care about their education. You want them to win. You know, and to win. Well, anyway, that's a bigger discussion.
Also, like, that's NCAA, where there are like huge financial ramifications for schools that do very well. Like merchandise and everything. There's a lot of stuff at play there. Exactly. But I feel like this is at least cool for a university that is not necessarily like, nationally known. Like, no one is necessarily striving to be like, oh, I'm going to make sure I get my application in for Robert Morris University. Like, it's pretty much free publicity for them, and it's probably like, it's smart. Yeah. Maybe it pans out, maybe it doesn't, but it's cool that there's at least one university that's willing to try it.
League isn't going to cost them much beyond like, if there is a land-based tournament for them to go play at, they got to fly them there. But, like, other than that, if some of this is online, then it just, these students already have the internet in their dorm. Like, it's not costing Robert Morris anything but the scholarship money, really.
Yeah.
So they can take a chance on it. And apparently League is updating their map for the first time in a long time. The main map, Summoner's Rift. Scott, is this just visual? It looked like
it's visual. Yeah, none of the as far as I know from watching the videos and reading the stuff on it, they're changing the names and stuff. But yeah, it's just a huge visual upgrade, and it's a much nicer, like, kind of. I think the color palette's less harsh. It feels like in this.
It looks less like a little more visual like diabetes.
Yeah. Well,
where everything is super saturated, like just
Visual
really
diabetes.
That's what League of Legends is to me. It's like it's so bright. I'm glad that it's
well, I
getting
was
toned
saying that
down.
it's not as bright with this new thing. It's not near.
Yeah, I
as
know
bright.
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's getting
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
League of Legends now is visual diabetes to me. 'Cause
It
it's
looks
so
more like
bright.
you compared it to Dota, but no, it looks
No,
more like
I
Dawngate.
jokingly say it's a Dota clone, but it looks like Dawngate.
Yeah, which is
The
another
visual
it's
style.
pretty good
It's,
MOBA.
I don't know enough about art to like compare it to
I
something
mean, I
else.
think like this is basically
It's overdue. They need to do it.
yeah, that's like the one thing with League of Legends where the pretty much every other MOBA ticks the box of like which one looks better.
Right.
And League is always at the bottom, which is like kind of intentional. Like least common denominator runs on a ton of different hardware, but yeah, I think like there are a lot of League players who I think would be really happy with a visual overhaul, and I think they're overhauling some of the camps and things too, right? I think it's
Yeah,
there's
the
some
way the
gameplay
camps come in,
changes.
like there's cool animations now. Yeah, I mean, it's so funny because when you watch the video of like they show the before and after, and it really does. Like I mean, you don't really care when you're playing the game, but it looks so fucking just old and dated. Like the old dragon, the old baron, all that kind of stuff. It looks really good in the new version. And one thing about League, I was saying this to my friend the other day when we were playing. It's like League's one of those games where when it gets updated, if you play it all the time, at least like 5v5 on Summoner's Rift, like when something changes, like in a week you forget that it was ever different like before.
Yeah.
That. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like brainwashing.
and
You're
that's
like,
kind of just multiplayer games in general. Well,
that's true.
not
That's true.
like FPSs don't really change that much, but like strategy games and shit like that, they will change like so much by like from when they start to like I don't know.
Yeah.
The end. I don't know. I don't want to say it. What are words? I'm done.
Given that League of Legends is
it's cool.
so much of a spectator sport at this point, even if it's just individual streamers or whatever, like that the visual flourishes do matter because it makes people are more interested when they're watching it when there's cool stuff, particle effects and things like that on the screen. It's just more visually appealing to the people watching.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it'll be good. There hasn't been. I mean, the League community is full of cancerous fuck boys, but I mean, pretty much everyone's like just really excited about getting this kind of thing. So I think it'll be good.
Alrighties. Well, let's move in to the viewer questions. First up here from Insane Asylum. There are actually by the way, there's no new releases that I could find for this week of anything of note. And Steam is like all fuckery because of the sale. So, but Insane Asylum asks, "What's the hardest game you've ever completed?" I was thinking about
This is actually a hard question because I don't complete that many games.
Yeah.
As many games as I used to play, it was very rare that I would play through an entire game.
For me, this is either Dark Souls or Binding of Isaac. It's one of those two. Dark Souls 2 is not as hard as either of those games. I think it's got to be Dark Souls. Like, because Isaac's just a whole other ball game. There's just a lot to do to beat it. It's not necessarily super hard once you've played for a few hours, but Dark Souls, man, about as hard as it gets, at least for me.
I can't think of anything.
Yeah, see, I'm a bitch, man. I don't play hard.
Yeah, I don't play like I'm
I
not
don't
the
find
kind of
it
person
fun.
that gets off on like adversity. I like everything going my way and it feels good. And it's a nice time. This sounds sexual.
What are you talking about?
Flip my audio to make me
Feels
sound like I'm talking
good.
about sex. It's
going
easy. I don't know. Well, it's not that I don't like having things like being spoon fed, but like I don't go for the Dark Souls games. I like stuff like that. Like
It's an
I don't
acquired
like
taste.
being frustrated.
I mean, I don't know. It's I mean, if you had
My
beaten Dark
honest
Souls,
answer
it'd
would
probably
be
number one.
something from like my earlier days.
Doom,
like
you beat
probably
Doom 2,
something-
didn't you?
Playing the Halo games.
like
I thought
probably
you-
probably something back when I was younger, like probably middle school, high school, maybe. Yeah, like maybe Doom.
Doom
something
2,
like
man. Beating Doom 2, not
And
fucking
it was really
easy.
hard at the time I was
Not
playing
easy.
it because
I don't
was
think
like
I could
7.
do it now. I think I would still die.
My answer is
Actually-
Halo on Legendary.
I should say I've said this before, but my greatest accomplishment ever in beating any game was Driver 2. Because what happened was I couldn't
Oh,
beat
that game was a
Driver 2.
mess.
Yeah, on the PlayStation because it would freeze. It was just horribly coded, and it would freeze and overheat my PlayStation at every like a single point.
Yep.
So I actually stuck with it. Like a year later, I put it back in on my PlayStation 2 when I got it, which could actually run the game properly, and I beat it from the beginning to the end. So that was like the game wasn't that hard. It was just like a personal like victory where I was like, "Fuck you, developers."
Yeah, that, like actually, that's a Driver is probably maybe one of the harder games. There are so many games back in the age of like renting games from Blockbuster and taking them home and trying to beat them in a couple days. I'm sure there is a good candidate here, but I just can't remember because there were so many games.
I'm just saying,
Beat
dude,
Ninja Gaiden 2.
You beat Ninja Gaiden 2? That is impressive. Like the Ninja Gaiden. Actually, speaking of the speedruns again, one of the most incredible things I've ever seen is the fucking Ninja Gaiden 1 pacifist run, where you don't kill anything except for the bosses, because you have to kill the bosses, obviously, to move on. And you can only use your sword on the bosses, which makes a lot of bosses much harder than they would be if you could use ninja stars. Yeah, if you beat Ninja Gaiden, you're really good at games, just period. Ninja Gaiden. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game was not easy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've seen Sean beat Contra so many times, I'm like desensitized to it, but Contra's probably up there. This next question I just chose because it's really fucking weird, and we don't even have to answer it, but I'm going to read it. Refreshing HJs, who's a fucking weirdo.
Apparently, based on this, what's going to go down.
What is your guilty pleasure? Mine is getting a nice burn at work where your arm hair burns and taking a huge whiff of it. What is wrong with you?
What the fuck?
I thought he was going to say, like, I really like hentai. But, like, like, oh, okay. Like, whatever floats your boat there. This is just weird, though.
That's really odd. I don't know. I mean, to be honest, he sounds mentally unstable. And if anything, I think we should try to get him help. Maybe he could message us his personal details after the show, and we'll try to usher. You know, dude, it's simple. You go into your counselor, you say you're having some problems, and you just talk about it, man, and you'll feel better. But I don't want you to do something that you.
I want to know where he works. Like, is this? Where do you get the time to do something like this?
Yeah, I was thinking it was someone that was even younger, but I guess it does say work. It does say work, so maybe it is not a high schooler.
He's just sitting in a cubicle with a lighter burning his own hair.
It's so weird.
Oh, refreshing.
I thought this was gonna be really lighthearted, like, oh, I like Justin Bieber songs, guys. Guilty pleasure.
I mean, well, that is the question, though.
No,
what is the guilty pleasure? Let's just, go.
Pop music. Pop music is definitely a guilty pleasure that I
don't
feel like. Yeah, I
would say 100%. Have you guys ever heard of the band American Authors?
No.
They're fucking awful. They're like pop garbage, but I can't stop listening to their stupid record. It's horrible. I can't stop. It's really
I don't feel guilty about liking shitty pop, though. That's my thing. So it's not a guilty pleasure. It's just a pleasure for me.
At least I know it's shitty, though.
Yeah. What is it? Like, what would be something I'd be embarrassed about if someone was like found out that I liked it? See, I feel like I'm just out there enough that people like I don't have anything. I don't have any secrets, man.
I don't know, man.
I mean, I'd say gay porn, but most people know that I jerk off to that all the time anyway, so I don't think that's a huge deal. So.
But the question is, do you feel guilty when you?
I don't feel guilty.
Not.
I feel confused because I'm really heterosexual, and it's odd to be able to get off to gay porn, but I feel like I don't know,
Baby metal. God, lots of K-pop and J-pop things in the chat here. Do you like Taking Back Sunday, Scott?
Oh, I do, but I don't feel guilty about that. Like, not a guilty pleasure. Good Lord, that was my high school years.
Hawthorne Heights is the best. Summer. Hawthorne Heights is the best.
Thanks to eat, son.
Jesus. All right, last question from Twitter. We have more emo questions, but at Italicize, I'm turning in my 2 weeks notice for my job as a cashier soon. How do I go out in style with as much destruction as possible? Well, clearly you don't give a shit about a reference from wherever.
If you're trying to go out in style, usually there's poop involved.
That's true. That is really true. I mean,
kind of depends on it's context sensitive. Like, where do you work as a cashier? Because you can maximize it depending on your environment.
I mean, I think what John has just said with poop, I think you put poop in the drawer of the cash
Yeah.
register,
Yeah, you
like
leave it
back
somewhere.
behind the money tray thing, because the money tray can usually come out, and then it's back there, and then people are like, "Man, something smells around this particular register," but they're gonna have to do a little digging, to get to that poo.
And it never traces back to you.
Yeah.
See, this is the problem though. This is already a dumb question because for you to think this much about, like, you are validating that job's existence by putting this much time and thinking about going out. When you're done with that job, you just fucking leave and try to forget that you ever had to do it. It doesn't sound like you had fun at your cashier. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's giving too much credence to it. You just let it go. You walk out with pride.
True.
And you just chalk it up to, like, you ever worked? I mean, I worked so many jobs as like in high school and as a kid. Like, it's all a blur to me. Like, I know I worked. Like, I know I worked at Dunkin' Donuts. I worked at fast food chains. I worked at but I don't, like, all that's so, like, it's so hard for me to even remember any of that anymore. So I feel like that's just it becomes clumped up in your memory, and you just forget about it. Don't worry about it.
Nikon trumped everything. I'll just read this one.
What did he
Nikon
say?
Punch for chat. True story, when I worked at a roller rink, I pissed in one of the skates and later gave them to someone because they were a bitch. Wow.
Wow.
What? Like,
That's just awful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
that's
there is
terrible.
poopsenders.com, which is a real website. If you want to just go hands off on that and use somebody else's poop. All right. First email from McCallus, who apparently knows Blah's whereabouts, but we don't. But writes, "Hello, KBMOD and fuckboys alike. Digital sports, which is one of the greatest formatted
in all
things.
caps and spaced out letter
Yeah.
by letter.
One
Yeah,
of
that's
the
pretty
great
good.
things I've ever seen. Has become something massive in the past couple of years, with Dota 2's International 3 heading up the top spot for the highest prize pool, 2.8 million, not counting the International Force 10 million because that hasn't been completed yet. Do you see a bright path for esports, or do you see it failing when games become too methodical? This is part of the reason I put this in here, because I don't even know what that end part means. What do you mean too methodical? Like,
I don't think.
I think he
things being
means that the-
methodical. You shouldn't be afraid of that. Like sports
Yeah, that's
have
what
been the
sports are.
same for decades. Like the rules slightly change, but in general, it's pretty much the same thing. So I just don't think that's even something to worry about.
That's not a fear.
If anything, I think that's probably helping esports. It may not be helping like the larger gaming industry, but it helps esports to have consistent games that can actually be practiced, and you build up a skill set in that particular game that is still viable a year, 2, 3 years later. Whereas if you're constantly shifting games all the time,
Yep.
you never really get a chance to develop, a professional scene around it.
You've talked about
because-
this before with Call of
Yeah.
Duty. 'Cause they change it year by year, and if somebody's trying to get into it, it's like every year you're changing the maps, the guns.
the amount
mean,
of people on the team
much.
changed with Ghosts,
Yeah,
I believe.
shit like that. Where I mean, it's hard to keep up with. Whereas if someone is, well, like we said, League of Legends has changed over the years, but I mean, in general, like it still looks the same. It's the same style of game.
Yeah,
I
like,
mean,
And
if
and by and
it's
large, like
follow along.
if you knew that most of the champions from early League of Legends, not enough has changed where that skill set is not still valuable. If you were
Yeah.
a pro player in 2010, 2011, you could continue to be relevant as like a high level player in 2014. And I think that's valuable for a competitive scene.
close and limited playstyle. I mean, but I just think it keeps evolving if it's a good enough game. Like, he's that's Major Pain. That's the guy who asked the question, chat.
Yeah.
I mean, look at CS:GO. That game is evolving. They look at the gun balance and they tweak things depending on
Unless it's a
the
fucking
usage
P90 because they
the
want
usage of
fucking
guns.
game.
Right, like the
John Madden
core
P90.
game is still really similar to, the early days of Counter-Strike, but the game has evolved a lot since then. And the fact that it's still the core game, like if you played Counter-Strike 10 years ago, you could hop into Go and not be completely a complete idiot.
Dust 2 is still Dust 2 for the
Dust
most part.
2 is still
like,
Dust 2.
But like, I mean, this, of course, as always, me, the one I watch the most is fighting games, and like this version of Street Fighter, effectively, Street Fighter 4 has been around since like 2009. Like,
I was going to say fighting games are one of the,
5
they stick
years.
around
Like,
for a while.
yes, there have been a lot of balance tweaks, and characters are not nearly what the same character they were in a lot of cases. From original vanilla Street Fighter 4 through Super, through Arcade Edition, through Ultra. But I mean, you know what? It's still the same game in many, many ways, and you can still watch it and tell what's going on. And it's the same thing, like you said, with CS. Dust 2, still pretty much Dust 2, even in Go. So I think it's good if you get a lot of consistency and maybe, but I don't see the playstyle getting limited. I don't see that.
No. You have the framework. These games are the framework. It's totally analogous to real sports, right? Football is football. Like Nick said, the rules change slightly. You know, whatever, you get replay. There's a few things, but the core things that you can always come up with new plays. You know what I mean? But the core tenets of the game are the same. And
And
as long as we keep,
I was gonna say the longer a game sticks around, like as if you played League of Legends or Dota in its early days, you may not play those games anymore, but you still like watching them. And that's the thing with esports, is that it's more and more about being a spectator experience. So that just the longer a game's been out, the more people that are familiar with the game, the more people will enjoy watching the game, which is what sustains esports, is that like growth in viewership, people being interested in watching it.
Yep. There you go. That's our answer. Daniel W. writes, hello, enough with the niceties. I didn't know he didn't even say anything nice. He just said,
what the hell, Daniel?
Hello.
The hello
Come
was
on,
the
dude.
nicety.
If KBMOD were to affiliate themselves with a fictional terrorist/villainous organization, which one would you choose? I think this answer is beyond obvious, and it's got to be Cobra from G.I. Joe. Cobra, we would make that shit competent, because they are the worst. Cobra Commander, you're right out. APL's in charge.
Oh, hell yeah. So in.
Nobody can be as much of a fuck up as Cobra Commander.
Trying to think of other organizations like
Fake.
Oscorp. Can we be? What about Oscorp?
No, fuck Oscorp.
Oscorp? What?
No.
We could have like robotic like arms and shit, and some wings, and some other like giant armor suits.
I guess. I just think the Green Goblin looks fucking ridiculous.
Team
It's
Rocket
stupid.
has been suggested in the chats.
No, Team Rocket always gets their ass whooped.
Yeah, they get
Every
they're like
episode.
Cobra.
Never won anything. They never even come close. It's never even a question.
Oh, we got what is Giovanni? Is that the guy's name? Whatever. I don't give a fuck about Pokemon. Whatever. Red, blue, yellow. I don't give a fuck.
Ooh, Foot Clan. Not a bad choice. Foot Clan actually, made some progress in the Turtle series, too. They weren't just always getting their ass kicked.
Umbrella Corporation.
Umbrella Corp. God.
What that?
I mean,
Spurt.
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 Spurt's not an evil organization.
It's not an
It's
evil
trying to help.
organization. Yeah, what the
All
hell?
right. Sticky P United Research Center. Like,
That's for
It's-
the advancement of mankind. I don't understand.
we actually have a Spurt station in space. It was founded the other day in IRC. So we're doing zero-G Spurt research. Trying to find out how spurts react in zero-G. All right, next question. Malcolm A. writes this question mainly towards John. Dear John, throughout your years of space tubing and being internet famous, I've noticed your songwriting talents shine. 2 examples of this include your parody of the song Take Back, where you sang, whatever I said, whatever I did, I didn't mean it. I just want to suck on your wood. Whenever I'm wrong, just whip out your dong and I'll suck it. I'd suck 12 inches if I could. and also a parody of Teo Cruz's Dynamite, where you sang, I blow my load up in your hair sometimes, singing Ayo. Your songwriting lyrics again in the future.
I like dudes. That's how I did it.
That is really how he did
It
it.
comes from a place of like his, honesty. That's how.
If you haven't watched those videos, they're somewhere on YouTube.
Yeah, someone should link
Forgot
those.
about Take Back. That's a fucking great song.
All right. Oh man, too good.
Oh, this next email, Jesus Christ.
Dalesy writes,
Oh boy.
I think he wrote this for a friend.
Yeah.
Dalesy writes, hello, esteemed keyboard plus mouse or die podcast producers. My name
Producers?
Yeah. My name is Aaron Stewart, known online as Aaron Likes Jesus. And I write to you today with great urgency. My son AJ Likes Gaming, who streams on our channel as well as done videos for us. He's an avid member of your community. Recently, he's undergone a great change, and I worry for his mental health. AJ was once a loving, spirited young boy with the world in front of him. That all changed when he began watching anime. Before, he would greet me with, "Hello, mother," or "Hi, mum." Now he tends to look down at the ground and coyly utter what sound to me to be Japanese greetings. I don't know how to properly pronounce this, but Ohayo gozaimasu, I said that completely wrong, means, she doesn't know what that means, but she doesn't like it. I've always had a bit of a problem with AJ's financial habits, but now he is simply out of control. Just last week, he purchased a $2,400 life-size doll of that Naruto guy. I don't know what he plans to do with that or the knife he purchased with it, but the ideas that spring to mind are not pleasant. So I ask you, why have you... Wow, we're being blamed?
Wow,
we're being
whoa.
Why have you let my son reach this point? What will you do to combat the scourge that is anime? Threats to replace our loving and upright children with absolute monsters who feed on ramen and cartoon pornography. Please, for the children, sincerely, signed Aaron and Concerned Mothers Against Anime, which seems to be an actual thing.
Wow. I don't even... This is the first time we've ever gotten a letter from a mother. God damn it.
That's all I know about Japanese culture is doing the peace sign and saying "Yatta." That's it.
So where do you even start with I mean, I think blaming are we his parent your child?
Why don't you
I don't know
parent
what
your
to tell you.
child? Yeah. Come on,
Yeah,
Aaron
that's not
Likes
our job.
Jesus. Like, let's get our shit together at home, I would say.
Right.
And
Well, I think like correlation is not causation. Just because he's an avid member of our community and he happens to now have developed a what appears to be a severe anime habit, like that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with us. I'm not saying it doesn't, but like you haven't proven that in your email.
I mean, as
Yeah.
an avid
I don't know
Naruto
if she's so much
watcher
it's saying that it's us. It's saying that why have we let him... It's more like why have we let him get to this point when it's like that's not our job. Like I don't keep tabs on how bad his anime
She's
is.
saying like we should have seen it coming and stopped
Yeah.
it because I don't think anyone saw it coming, frankly.
Aaron, I'm gonna need some pictures of you to see whether you're a worthy waifu or not. I think that's where I'm at this point.
He needs to go to AJ and he needs to say "Moshi moshi desu desu." Yatta.
That's the final answer, I believe, right there. Anime ruins lives. Wake up, sheeple. Thank you, Penguin. All I know is that I get referred to as senpai several times a day in IRC. So I mean, I don't know what that means, but we gotta stop it. God damn it. This chat's killing me right now. But I poop from there.
Oh god.
But yeah, that's it. Beware of anime, apparently.
Yeah.
I would say though, ultimately you just gotta parent your children.
Who wants to go watch some Yu Yu Hakusho after this?
I'll go watch some Shiguru Death Frenzy after this podcast ends. But thanks for coming out this week to episode 147 of the KBMOD podcast. We will be back next week with episode 148. Make sure to check us out on kbmod.com. There's IRC chat, there's forums, there's of course the Twitch channel here. Give us a follow on that. And
As Scott
also-
always forgets, we have an audio
Yes.
version. So if you can't catch it live, you can go subscribe on iTunes, and maybe if you like it, you can leave us a rating and let us know how much you hate it when Scott refers to things that happen in the live version that you have no idea about in the audio version.
There you go. And also, something else I failed on was the fact that we are proudly sponsored by Blue Microphones, BlueMic.com for all of your needs when pushing your voice out of your throat into a device. That Blue Mike has you covered. BlueMike.com. All right,
guys. See you next time. And Concerned Mothers Against Anime, call me. We'll talk. Later, everybody.
Later.
See ya.